All right, so what happens when we're given different parts of information? So, for instance, we're given sine and cosine this time instead of a point. Well, notice that sine and cosine are both positive. Okay. That means that the sides are positive. We're talking about it being in the first quadrant. So first thing I always do is try to identify where is it. Okay, it's the bow tie triangle. Sine is opposite over hypotenuse. And then cosine is adjacent over hypotenuse. And so if I wanted to find cosecant and secant and cotangent and tangent. Now, then I would know that, let's see, cosecant is just a reciprocal. So that is 13 over 2 square root of 13. Rationalize, so that means that we are going to multiply the top and the bottom by square root of 13. Which means lots of math happening here. 13 square root of 13 over 2 times 13, which means the 13s would cancel, and I'm really just left with 2, square root of 13 over 2. Okay. Same idea here. Whoops, what am I doing? Multiplying the top and bottom, I get 13 square root of 13 over 3 times 13. Again, the 13s cancel. Okay. And then for tangent, we got to remember our multiplication of fractions. So is sine over cosine. So 2 square root of 13 divided by, because it's sine over cosine, 3 square root of 13 over 13. So remember, when we divide fractions, we actually multiply by the reciprocal. All right, we got some stuff that cancels out. Life is grand. So the tangent theta is just 2/3, which makes cotangent super easy. It's just 3 over 2. So a lot of this is logic. If you get the basic ideas and you just think about what do I know has to be true, then that's how you'll get your answer. Let's look at a different one that we also use logic for. So we want to find the exact values of all the rest of them. So we want sine, cosine, and tangent. And we want cosecant. We already know what secant is, but sometimes it's helpful to go ahead and write that down. And then cotangent. Okay, so if I know secant, then I know cosine, right? And then I have to use my brain here. So I know cosine is negative, so this is where I think about all students take calculus. Where is cosine negative? Okay, cosine is the x value, so it's either here or here, right? But this is where I use the second piece of information. Sine has to be positive. So that means it has to be up here because sine is positive in quadrant 2. That's where that logic piece comes from. So this is the triangle I'm dealing with. Cosine is adjacent over hypotenuse. To find my third side, a squared plus b squared equals c squared. Now recall, c is always the hypotenuse. So we're actually solving for either a or b. Take your pick. Okay, so a squared plus 144 equals 169. A squared equals 25. So a must equal 5. Well, that makes life easy. No square roots or anything that I have to rationalize. So sine is 5 over 13, which means that cosecant is 13 over 5. Tangent is opposite over adjacent, which means cotangent would be adjacent over hypotenuse. One last thing, it is in quadrant 2, so I'm going to make sure that sine and the reciprocal are positive and everything else is negative. All right, so try a couple problems on your own.